This is arguably the most highly requested video that I have ever made. And if you're a teen, you're a kid in high school that has his mind on money but has absolutely no skill. And just a disclaimer before we get started, I have no mentorships, no courses, no nothing. I'm not trying to sell you anything in this video. This video is not sponsored by any company. I am not getting paid to make this video in any way. Genuinely, the only reason why I'm making this video is because I would have benefited so much if I had seen something like this when I was 16. I am truly, like, my only goal here is strictly to just put you on the right path and maybe expand your mindset and perspective a little bit, just like how my perspective expanded during this period of time. Let's start from the beginning. I was 16 years old and I was in 11th grade of high school. I had just finished 11th grade and we were going into the summer break. Now, as you start growing into your teens, you realize how important it is to actually make money. The issue for me specifically was that I was born in Canada, but at the age of 3, I had to move to the Middle East and I was raised there until I was 14. This is because my mom passed away when I was 3 years old and my dad just simply could not take care of me on his own in Canada. Just for some context, both my parents are Persian. They had moved here to Canada to have me, and obviously life did not go as planned, so my dad had to go back to the Middle East, to Iran specifically, and that's where I was raised by my grandparents, went to school in Iran, did all that, but that's not even part of the story. I had to move to the Bay Area on my own. When I say on my own, I had an aunt and uncle there, so they were planning on taking care of me as I went through high school, and they did a very good job. Shout out aunt and uncle. Now, my main point here in mentioning all of this context is just to tell you that I was not allowed to work in the United States as an international student. I couldn't even work at a coffee shop. I just simply could not work at all. So the idea was that during the summer, I go to Canada, I go to Vancouver, and I rent out a place for myself and try to get a job to try to generate maybe $2,000-$3,000 that I can spend throughout my senior year. So I used all the money that I had in my savings account. It was about 3,000 something, and I put it all down on rent for 3 months. I was living literally in someone's basement. It was not very fun. But honestly, this was the first time I had caught a glimpse of being independent. Like, I was on my own as a 17-year-old in a house. I had free will. I could do whatever I want. Anyways, I spent the first week there just going to different restaurants, handing in my resume, my fucking resume of being an absolute nobody. Long story short, that's exactly what I did for the next month and a half to 2 months. Now, one night when I was at the gym, I was standing in front of the mirror and I was flexing, but somehow I knew how to pose just because I had seen so many TikToks of bodybuilders posing and stuff. So this guy comes up to me at the gym while I'm posing and starts asking me like, yo, how do I pose? So I'm making small talk with this guy for about 10-15 minutes. Then he asks me, yo, do you have a job? And I said, yeah, I have a job, but I'm like really not making any money. I was making about $14 an hour Canadian dollars. That's like $11 US. My plan of bringing money back to the United States was completely wiped off the table within the first 2 months. I knew that there was no way that I was going to come back to the United States with any amount of money. I was just kind of trying to survive in Vancouver. Of course, this guy offers me a second job and he asks me if I've ever done sales before. My idea of a salesman at the time was like a suit and tie, dude. Like, you fucking, I don't even know. I didn't even know what sales was. So the guy's like, okay, be ready tomorrow morning at 7 in the morning. We're going to come pick you up. I'm like, what the fuck? Next morning rolls around 7 in the morning. 2 random dudes pull up to my crib with a truck. I hop in the truck and we go down to like one of the shittiest neighborhoods we have in Vancouver. He hands me a little blue t-shirt that says the company name, Home Exterior Cleaning. And I hop out of the truck with the sales manager, the same guy that I talked to the night before at the gym. Let's just call him Jim. We start walking through this residential neighborhood. It's not anything crazy, but Jim walks up to the door. The first door that he knocks on, he sells that client for $800 worth of home exterior cleaning. This guy literally knocked on the door, explained why he wants to do pressure washing, why he wants to do roof cleaning, and why he wants to clean the gutters, and that we would also throw in a free service of cleaning your windows. He closes the deal for $800 and we walk away from the door and I ask him, I'm like, dude, how much did you make off of this deal? And he was like, oh, nothing. It was just 200 bucks. I usually get like 25% of whatever I close. So let's just move on to the next door. $200 in 10 minutes. This guy made $200 in 10 minutes in front of the eyes of a kid that is making $14 an hour. The reason why I emphasize this so much is because this was the most pivotal moment in my entire life. Up until this point, I was under the imagination of, oh, you get a job and you work hourly and you're always trying to go for that job that pays you the most per hour. My reality was completely flipped around when I saw this guy make $200 in 10 minutes when I would have made like what, $2? We go and knock for another 3-4 hours before I have to go to my actual job. And this guy, he tells me, he's like, yo, you spent 4 hours shadowing me. How much money do you want? He asks me how much money do I want. I'm like, dude, you were just teaching me. I don't know. He gives me $200 for nothing. Like, I was literally just walking behind this guy, shadowing him, just learning what he does. And he just paid me $50 an hour. Huge spoiler alert. I know this is going to come as a massive shock to you guys, but I fucking quit my job that day. I could have dealt with the situation a little bit more professionally, maybe put in like a 2-week notice, but I did not want to spend another minute at that restaurant when I could be out on the street making like 100 times more than I was making. So anyways, for the next month, I'm out every single day, 8 to 9 hours a day, knocking on doors. And the first week I did have to shadow the guy to learn exactly what to do in front of the door. But after I got it down and I started going out by myself solo, just hitting up different neighbors, knocking on their doors, trying to sell them a service that they absolutely do not want. At the end of that summer, I went back to the United States with $8,000 in my bank account. This was huge. I had just made more money than the average 40-year-old in just my first month of doing sales. Now, this is all really cool. The money's great. Yay, $8,000. Most people make that $8,000 and they're like, cool, dude, next summer I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna make 10 grand. But not me, man, not me. My mentality was completely changed. I was a completely different person. The only thing that was on my mind was making money. It was like I found a money glitch. I vividly remember this. I landed at 9 a.m. and by 11 a.m. I was out on the street in my neighborhood knocking on doors, selling people car washing services. The idea of, oh, I can't get a job, oh, it's just so hard, I can't find the right job, the right fit. I didn't give a fuck about any of that. I didn't give a fuck about the legality. I just wanted to make money, and no one was going to stop me from knocking on every single one of my neighbors' doors. So that's exactly what I did. And within the first week, I landed like 10, 20 recurring clients. I made so much money in the first week that I literally had to hire my friend. Like, I had no other option. I hired one of my boys. I was paying him $20 an hour, which is a lot higher than minimum wage. Another 2 weeks passes and I'm like, wait, I did home exterior cleaning. Like, you know, I did the sales for it, but I was doing the actual roof scrubbing and the gutter cleaning and the window cleaning and all that. You are supposed to do that as a salesman, just so you understand exactly what type of service you're selling. So I was on top of those roofs doing the dirty work, and I'm so glad that I did that because it made me realize how fucking easy it is to do jobs like this. This is where we started selling gutter cleaning, window cleaning, and roof cleaning. Gutter cleaning is extremely easy. You just literally pop a ladder, go up on the roof, bend over, clean out some of the debris that's in the gutters, and just put it in a bucket, go back down, dump it in the trash, you're done. Usually it takes about 30 minutes to an hour, and you can charge anywhere between $250 to $300. Anyways, as soon as we got to home exterior cleaning, I pitched the same offer to all of my clients that I was doing car washing for. Like, yo, do you want your gutters cleaned? Do you want your windows cleaned? When I tell you, we had so many fucking jobs lined up, I had to hire kids again. Anyways, I'm not gonna bore you with the rest of the story. Basically what happened was we got so many home exterior cleaning jobs where I had to hire college students that have way more of a flexible schedule and can just do harder work. And I would hire my high school classmates or other friends that I have that were my age, looked younger, more charismatic. This sounds so terrible to say about kids. Anyways, I had a whole team of kids just working under me at the age of 18. We scaled this company to about $20,000 to $30,000 monthly recurring revenue. I was making a shitload of money. And as an 18-year-old, bro, when you get a little bit of money, you just immediately start flexing it. So I was in class, like fucking money spreading on the table and shit, bro. Not looking back at it, bro, that shit was so corny. So if you made it to this point of the video, first of all, congratulations, your dopamine receptors are not fried. And you might be asking yourself, so what's the next step? How do I do this? Or what did you exactly do? How do I start? What I learned specifically was the skill of sales. And I did it through a company that was doing home exterior cleaning. Now there's all kinds of different companies that do sales. There is solar, home exterior cleaning, obviously, bug spraying, like insect management and shit. Now, why is it that I say sales is the most important skill for any teenager to learn? It is really not the money. The money always flows with you when you learn sales. The money isn't the main thing that you're getting out of this. Sales completely changed me as a human being. I was social and I did know how to talk to people, but when you put yourself in a position like that, where you're in front of someone's door, you're knocking on it, you're bothering them, and you're trying to sell them thousands of dollars worth of something that they probably don't even want, that is when you are really learning how to speak. Being able to deal with rejection rejection and objections is the most valuable life skill that anyone could learn. You really learn how to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand what the other person actually wants and how you can make yourself the person that they would trust and like. And again, I keep saying this with every aspect of things that you learn in sales. That is, again, the most important thing in the world. When you learn sales and how to properly talk to people, especially at their front door where they don't want you to be, there is no more awkward conversations. No conversations that I've had in the past 3 years, as far as I can remember, has ever been awkward. I have never ran out of things to say. I've never let a conversation die deliberately. My speaking skills were top notch and my confidence. If you're a sales guy and you're watching this video, go in the comment section and tell me how confident you feel after a good day of closing some good clients. I genuinely feel like there is no job that gives you that level of confidence as sales does. There were honestly so many things that I learned while doing sales. I had to write down all of the little nitty-gritty shit that I learned that plays such a huge role in my life right now. Learning to deal with rejection. Obviously, you're constantly getting told no. You're constantly getting doors slammed in your face. You might even have a cracked out homeowner that'll pull a gun on you. Yes, that has genuinely happened to me. I have had a gun pulled on me while I was just knocking on doors. Doing sales also really teaches you discipline. Like, I was under the sun for 8-9 hours a day, and it's genuinely this type of mentality. If you do not sell, you are walking home with $0. There is no hourly pay. There is no safety net. If you don't sell jobs, you are not eating dinner tonight. So it doesn't fucking matter if 100 homeowners slam the door in my face and say, no, we don't want your products. We don't want your services. I simply just move on to the next door with a smile on my face, because every no that I get, I am one step closer to a yes. Also, being able to cold pitch, like instantly hook someone at the door to listen to whatever you're saying, very important skill. Objection handling gets you so good at speech and debate. Honestly, I think one of the most important skills any kid can learn. If you ask your parents right now, they would probably love to put you in one of these classes. Speech and debate is something that will always have my full support. I will always be backing speech and debate classes, and anyone who takes speech and debate classes, bro, I have so much respect for you. And obviously, I learned everything else that comes with a business, like building a team, learning how to leverage properly, understanding profit margin, literally anything that comes down to starting a business and managing it and running it properly and making sure it scales and continuously makes you money without increasing your work hours. Again, extremely valuable skill. Another thing that's very random, but I feel like Americans fucking suck at it, is being able to communicate with someone with a massive language barrier. I have closed Chinese and Indian homeowners that did not speak a word of English just by using Google Translate and being able to get my point and value across. I speak a very specific way when I'm talking to someone that has a language barrier. I'm using a lot more simple words. I may be changing my accent a little bit to get closer to theirs. Americans see some guy with a language barrier and they're like, yeah, well, paradoxically, like, dude, no one's understanding what you're saying. If you're one of those people that is doubting yourself, you're not really confident if you're able to pull this off, and it's a pretty massive risk. Just remember, I had no plan in my life to ever get into any kind of niche like this, not only social media, but just sales in general. I flung the entirety of high school. I cheated on every test, did not do a piece of homework. And when it got to senior year, like 12th grade, that was when I was like, okay, well, maybe I should think about a college. Maybe I should think about like what I'm going to be doing in the future. I had this plan where I was like, okay, worst case scenario, after I finish 12th grade, I go back to Canada, I spend a year learning HVAC, which is like everything to do with like your AC, heating, all this other shit around the house. I would study and learn how to do that and immediately get into the job space. And if you're currently in the position that I was a couple years back and you have no plan on what you're gonna do, what college you're gonna go to, what are you gonna study, you're not really interested in studying anything, there are many ways to become successful without needing to go to any prestigious university, without studying anything that you don't actually want to study or relates to what you want to do in the future. If you don't have a plan, I definitely recommend you look into trade school, some kind of a trade like plumbing, HVAC. These are all the type of jobs that you need maybe like a year of experience before you start making 6 figures a year. And honestly, that would have been my plan B if I didn't do social media. It is a massive world out there. There are so many jobs. You do not have to go down the classic route of going to college for 8 years to then maybe land a job that'll get you 60 grand a year. Nothing wrong with that if that's the path you decide to choose, but that is something that I personally would never do. If in an alternate universe, my entire presence was wiped off of social media and I had no following, no nothing, I would probably start social media again. But if that is not a possibility, I would be getting into HVAC, sales, or one of these jobs. And I will always have my mind on how can I start a company for myself around this service.